All right.
All right. Moving on, sports episode 1-1, Big
1-1.
11. Kind of a throw one together kind of day.
Yeah, no slideshow.
No slideshow, just winging it. Maybe we want to start off with a little health sleep. Is sleep
Oh
important
yes,
for?
sleep's like a reset episode. No, actually, I just had kind of like a thought. So like one thing I've been watching with Nora is kind of like Blue Planet, like nature documentaries and stuff because she kind of likes seeing the stuff and go what I learn and it
Yeah.
doesn't feel as like stimulating as like Miss Rachel or whatever. But one thing I kind of realized is that so this was even like one of the earlier ones. It was the Our Planet. They showed like this wolf and it like needed, to kill a like deer to survive, right? And so it went up, it like finally got the baby deer and like pounced on it and then they cut away. And I kind of realized that I've never really seen like a full animal attack, or at least like an extended sequence of it in any of these like nature stuff. And I kind of think like a good channel just would be like ESPN. And you probably couldn't do it like on actual TV. It has to be like YouTube or something. But just animal like kills and just do that like just like top 10 highlights every single day, right? Like a bear just mauling the shit out of something. I don't know. I think that would be like people would love that shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's kind of like the Shark Week. I feel like is a little bit of that attention, like that excitement around it, like seeing sharks up close and stuff. And
Yeah, but they don't. Do they
um,
actually show like sharks like killing a ton of fish and like
I feel like they
animals and
cut it,
stuff?
like what you're saying, like they
Yeah.
show like blood in the water. It's hard to like, probably hard to get that too because it's in the water. But
No, but I think they have it. I think they just like cut, because like this one, they totally had the camera right on the wolf, right? And it like sunk its teeth into the animal and then just did like, like the zoom out, and that's kind of what
yeah,
they do, where it's like you'll see it and then zoom out, or like sometimes they'll show them like eating the dead corpse, but like don't really show the kill. And I don't know if that's like a rule for TV, or like they might get in trouble with PETA. And I always kind of thought too, like with PETA, that like they're so against, or like vegans, like, oh, humans can't kill animals. It's so inhumane. But then realizing like what other animals do to other animals is like super inhumane, right? Like they just like chop off their legs and leave them to die. And I mean, there's no more morality in the jungle.
no, um, yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I don't know. I've kind of like thought about it though, like some of the PETA stuff, and I'm not I mean, obviously I eat meat and all that
Mhm.
stuff, but like I think when you watch like the confined spaces, I think this is just a me thing too. Like
Yeah, no, I
I
agree
just
with you on
like
that.
confined spaces, and I was watching a video of Shaq. He got like a new koi pond in his backyard, and he was
Uh-huh.
getting like these huge koi fish. They were like massive, delivered, and they're shipped like across wherever the states in
Hmm.
like these pods of water that are like just a little bit bigger than the fish.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, that would be horrible.
Yeah, but like I think it's because it's like
They
there's
don't
a term
think.
for it. Yeah, it's like anthropizing, right? Like yeah, it's like we think that like it's weird we have empathy for these animals that don't have empathy, but then oftentimes we don't have empathy for humans that actually do have empathy, right? Like
Yeah,
we're able to put ourselves in a fish's shoes, so to speak, with our mindset, but we're not able to put ourselves in like someone else's shoes with a different mindset, even though they still have a mindset. Pure
yeah.
thought measure.
And it leads to
Um,
funny things sometimes. That's when like
yeah,
people will be like, "Oh, I'm being nice to a bear," and then it'll be like their
yeah.
friend for like a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like one day fucking
Kill them.
monsters you and
Yeah,
some dude dies because he's like, "Oh, I thought the bear was my friend." It's like, dude,
yeah.
it's a
No,
bear.
they're
It's a
not. They're
bear.
not. Yeah, or like a reptile, right? Like reptiles just don't have. They don't even have the capability to form that type of bond or whatever.
Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna say snakes. You do. I think snakes are the one thing you do see, like because it's such a different
yeah,
and it's
because it's not
weird.
bloody. It's like
Yeah,
it's kind
just
of
swallowing it whole.
yeah,
But those
yeah,
things always freak me out when you see like half of like a gazelle like hanging out of a snake's mouth, and then the
yeah,
other half,
and
and you're just like, what the
yeah,
hell? Like that's honestly got to be one of the craziest
and just
just
like
things.
jaws unhinged. Yeah,
Yeah, like a fucking snake. Like, what the hell is a
Yeah,
snake?
I
And
agree.
I'm not a huge fan of snakes anyway, but
No, I'm right there with you on that. What I was thinking too was, yeah, um, and kind of like in county fairs or whatever, right? You could like win a goldfish in a bag, but then like people kind
Mhm.
of realize that like fish, you know, don't like that environment. And I know like on Reddit, a big thing is like it's called like beta fish, like they're the colorful, they're like colorful, apparently like a really popular fish pet to have, type of fish.
Just
And
pretty.
but they need like a lot of space, I guess. And like people just like freak the fuck out if you don't have like, a certain amount of gallons per fish. And it's just
Yeah,
like I get it, right? But on the other hand, it's a fish, like I get
yeah,
it, but it's
that's
a
it.
fish, like it's a fish.
It is weird. Like, I wonder what the equivalent of that for like humans is, right? Like, is there a certain amount of? I guess we're allowed to like walk around, so there's not really.
I don't know, solitary confinement, right?
You go, yeah. So I do think solitary confinement's pretty fucked up.
Pretty messed up. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
like
the
in
whole
general.
jail
Just like
situation is pretty messed up. Like we're okay with
yeah,
people
and
being raped,
yeah, that's one of the weird things to me too. It's like it's people make jokes like, "Oh, you're really gonna enjoy jail," or like, "Good luck
Yeah.
in jail." Like everyone's gonna like rape you, and
Yeah.
it's like, funny. It's like funny, but it's like, why do we allow that to happen? Like that should be some serious. Like no, I
I
can't
wonder
have.
if you made the same joke about like, oh, like women going to women prisons, like, oh, have fun, like getting raped. Would everyone just be like, ha ha ha, like they deserve it, Like, no, no,
Yeah,
like, and like the whole
dudes.
transgender thing. I saw this on Twitter, and it wasn't sourced or anything, so take it with a huge grain of salt. But like 15% of the prison population for women's prisons is transgender, and it's kind of like, so if you like just said like, oh, like have fun going to women's prisons, you're gonna get raped by all these transgender people, like there'd be outrage, and I guess it's kind of interesting that like, like rape is a pretty like sexually neutral thing, right? Because getting raped in the like an orifice is equally bad no matter gender. You can make the argument being a man is worse because you're not used to that typically in terms of sex acts. But I don't know. I guess maybe we as a society think like maybe men deserve punishment more than women do.
We're definitely tougher to men. I think
Yeah,
we have like this like women can handle it kind of attitude.
yeah.
It's kind of, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily correct.
I don't know. I guess it kind of is. Like I'm kind of okay with it. Like I don't know if I would want to change that. Like just kind of thinking like,
Well, I mean, I would say you change it and you don't accept it for either, right?
yeah. But if they did something really bad, I don't know. Like I guess like what kind of crime would you just be okay like a guy just getting raped for? Like
Or
I
rape.
mean, yeah, rape, right?
Yeah. But you
Yeah.
just want it to be like a little more controlled. I don't know. You just want
I
to
don't know.
have,
I guess it's like the jungle, right? Like that's
is
literally
that
kind of
good though?
the
Is that actually
jungle
good?
in a sense, like that's just humans being in the jungle. Because that's kind of what prison is. It's like the purest form of a
All
jungle.
right. Here's the New York Times, Sam. The New York Times, 2025, 123. The
Mhm.
number of people, I could share this just so that but the number of people affected is relatively, this is about I don't know,
Mhm.
some new law. There are about 1,500 federal prisoners who are transgender women, according to the Bureau of Prisons, but they represent an outsized portion of federal inmates, especially among female. 15% of women in prison are transgender. There are
Wow, I was great.
750 transgender men out of 144,000, so the opposite. But is that federal versus state, maybe?
Hmm.
But
Kind of
so
interesting that
50% of
a
federal,
population that represents like 1% has a 15% overrepresent, 15x overrepresentation and deviant behavior. Who would have thought for that type of person?
yeah, it's a little concerning. It is very
Yeah.
concerning. I did see that they stopped the. It's interesting because a lot of countries have been kind of pushing back on like transgender surgeries for minors, which
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
personally think is wrong. It's just
Yeah.
like too big of a choice to make. I think this is how I think about it too. Like, first of all, you're young and you're going through so much change in your mind, and like it does seem to be influenced. Like you see
Mhm.
these families where they're having like multiple kids that are transgender or
Yeah.
parents who are transgender, and it's like, well, that's not like really statistically possible. So you're
Yeah.
pretty much just like forcing this on your child at a very young
Yep.
age, which is crazy.
Yep.
And um, it's also just too like you're making a decision when you're maybe 16 years old. Average life is 76. It's like, are you going to live the next 60 years? Like people aren't allowed to have tattoos when they're 16 years
Mhm.
old because you're making a decision for a
Mhm.
long. It's like,
Mhm.
but you're doing that. You're taking like, and then there also is just the money factor around it. Like I do think that
Yeah.
there are some hospitals and well, they've talked about it. It's pretty open. It's
Mhm.
a money making. It's
Super profitable.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it just seems there's a lot of like bad factors around it all. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like you feel bad for people that are going through it, and you want to like give them help and like get them through it. But then you have like so many bad influences surrounding it all too that
Well,
are
it's a super emotionally charged situation, right? Like the parents here, like here, if you don't do this, your kid's gonna kill yourself, right? And so it's
yeah.
like
And that's always
anytime, yeah,
horrible.
right. And it's like anytime that I guess it's like any pitch, right, or any way to kind of convince you of a cause, and you like up the emotional stakes that high is probably done by someone with bad intentions. You know, like even like I can't think of a valid situation where the emotional stakes are that high that like like I guess I don't know, nuclear
I can't
war,
even
I
think of
guess,
something else where people
like drugs, I guess drugs, even like drugs, right, like fentanyl, right, fentanyl probably similar, where it's like 16-year-old, you just do it and you die. Like the stakes aren't even that, like they're high, right, for that, but they're not that
yeah.
high.
Yeah, it's wild. It's the only thing that I could think of right now where it's like, if you don't do this, your kid will commit suicide.
Yeah,
It's kind of a crazy thing to tell someone too. And
that
it's
is a
like,
crazy thing, and to be
it's like,
so sure of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing is just wild, but letting it
Talk about
play
a
out.
sales pitch, though. That's kind of a good sales strategy. Could you
You
use
don't,
that for other
you
stuff?
don't
Like,
buy
if
my
you don't buy
product,
my
you're
products, you're gonna kill yourself. Like, you're gonna die. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Maybe just use that.
the
Use it
ultimate
for like,
fail.
a Doritos commercial for the Super Bowl. You know, just have like that Dylan Mulvaney, or like actually Bud Light, just lean hard into it and just do that and just be like, Dylan Mulvaney didn't drink Bud Light, so she hung herself. And it's like trans people commit 40% of trans people commit suicide, and she was part of it because they didn't have Bud Light.
It'd be a little dark, but I like
Yeah.
the edge of comedy. I
I mean,
like
that's
the element.
polarizing, right? That's a
Yeah.
polarizing ad. Like, talk about, people,
I think you should just make some comedy, man. I was thinking about making it the other day. So I was on the bus. I was taking the bus to a friend's place, and I was like,
how's the like the bus populace over there? Is it like what
older.
America bus populace is, or is it like
No,
nice bus? No.
it's nice. Same with the metro, dude. It is like so like the metro, the public system over here is just like night and day. It's like amazing. Even Paris was like a little
Hmm.
more, just a little older and run down parts of it, but like it is like brand new. It works so well. It's easy. It's everyone's like friendly, and it's like you don't feel. I mean, there's definitely times that are like rush hour, but it just feels a little
Hmm.
more open. Everyone's just like nice. You never, not that it's like the end of the world, but you never see like homeless people on
Hmm.
the metro.
Do you
Or
see like a bunch of like homeless people in Barcelona at all?
there are some you see them around, but they like have these like shopping carts full of like stuff, and they just kind of
Hmm.
move around. It was interesting actually. So like every night, Barcelona, like down where I live, they come by and they like pick up trash on the street. So you can
Okay.
so literally like our like garbage collection is you take your bag right out our front door and you just like put it on the ground between 8
Oh
and
yeah,
11.
I've seen that, and I thought it was just like I don't know, people just like drinking and leaving it out.
Yeah, no, that's just how they
It's
do
just how
it.
it
And
is.
every
Yeah.
night they just drive by like with these mini cars with like, like two people, and then it has like a
Hmm.
little like it's like a mini like trash collector, and they just like go by and grab the bags and throw them in. And
Hmm.
actually, it's kind of nice because it's like every night, so you never, if you have like something like bad in your
If you miss it, you're good to go.
or yeah. And so they do that at night, and then in the mornings, like early in the mornings, they drive by and they spray the streets down with like a hose. And like, I don't know, there's just like dogs go to the bathroom or garbage, they sweep. Like there's so much like constant cleaning going on in Barcelona, which is kind of nice.
That's really nice.
So like one night I just saw a homeless person near our place, and it was like out, and she had a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, well, in the morning, I know she's not going to be there because they're going to come by and clean it. And I didn't look into it, but I was like, I wonder if they like, and it'd be impossible for her to like just pick up and move all this stuff, right?
Okay.
Like, a lot of stuff she had, and it's not like she has like a car. So it's like they must be like helping people like get places or move or something. There must be like something happening because you see them like set up and then they're gone in the morning. And you like rarely see them again. It's just kind of weird. Or like by our mail, the mail, big mail office, whatever, postal office is near us. And sometimes in their like front doorways, it's kind of like there's like an overhang. So it's just like warmer, right? And people will like set up cardboard boxes and they'll like sleep there. And then like the next morning you like walk there and it'll just be like completely empty and clean. And it's really interesting. It's like, I know they're around, but I have no idea like where maybe they're in just other areas of the city, but or they're helping them, but like it seems like it's definitely mental health, I would say, most of the people. Like it doesn't seem like because you'll see them like they'll be like talking kind of like,
well, aren't all homeless people kind of like mental health?
Because there is usually help available for people, but they're not like in US. I feel like they're kind of like strung out a little bit. Like they're just doing drugs and they're just like a little more aggressive, and there's just a little bit of this like they're going through shit. But here it just seems like they're a little like more chill. Like in Portland, I remember there's people like screaming, like walking down the street, just like screaming at you. Or just some guy like, or just like these huge tent cities, and like people, I don't know, we've kind of like allow it to go on. But and here it's like you'll see people like every now and then you'll see them like pushing carts around with like full of, I don't know, they're just like collecting things, and they set up shop like around, but they don't seem to be like, it's just not the same. I don't know. And they're not really like on public transportation.
Maybe there's like some thought here. So like in psychology, I think like Freud came out with this with like the id, the ego, and something else where it's like the three parts of your brain, not like subconscious, right? And like the id, I think, is like your inner child. The ego is like your conscious mind and something else. But what I guess the point I'm trying to get at is like the homeless people in a certain geographical area or city represents like the city's collective, like maybe subconscious or like vibes, you know? Like you could tell the health of a city, not just like how many homeless people they have, but just how the homeless people behave.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting, like even like there's like this one guy I've seen around quite a bit, and he'll like just like be like walk around and like smile at you when you walk by him. I don't know. And they're never, and there's people asking for money at places, but they're not like, I don't know, they're not like as I don't know, they seem pretty chill about it. They're just kind of sitting there. This article says that there's 1,231 people in Barcelona. So it's not much.
No, that's not
for a decently sized city.
All right. So you're talking about public transportation, going somewhere, doing something.
Yeah, no, this is a funny one. So I was thinking about this. So like back to your comedy thing. So we're on the bus and we're going, I'm going to the bus, but I noticed that so we get to this bus stop, and there was this old lady there's like two doors. There's like the door at the front, and then there's a door in the middle, and you can kind of hop on either one, and then you can just like pay as you hop on. And the middle door, the back door, didn't open up. And so some guy like got up quickly and he tried to like press the button, but it like didn't work. And then this older lady, she was like trying to get on, and then the dude just like drove off. And I was like, that was really weird because like usually like they're just so like aware and like they'll stop
Yeah,
with people. And
yeah.
I was like, it would be hilarious, a hilarious skit if like some dude just had like this battle, like this daily battle with like this old lady who just tried to like ride the
Just
bus.
denying her public transit.
Yeah. And they just had like this rivalry, like a
Yeah,
Larry David scene almost.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And then I was thinking, and then so I was telling Lauren about it. I'm like, this would be such a funny skit if it was like some
Hmm.
rivalry. And then I was like,
Hmm.
oh, we should make some Larry David skits. And then I was thinking of another one that it would be funny to make. Would be like Larry David like has to like Jeff gets him, his agent Jeff gets him to like
Hmm.
work at like a homeless like a food pantry. Like, hey,
Okay.
you know, we got to promote whatever.
Yeah.
Larry's like against it, but he agrees. And then he somehow like gets into it with like some guy for like not saying thank you or something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I would just love to like do
Yeah.
some comedy like that. It'd be just so funny.
Hey, that's the TikTok, right? I mean, shit, you can blow up with all that stuff.
YouTube. Yeah. I like that type
See,
of comedy. I was watching
yeah.
Seinfeld tonight. It was just, I don't know, that like kind of like humor out in the city. And I think like when you're in a city and you're just like moving around and like seeing random things and interpreting things or like maybe taking things you see maybe in a different way. It could be totally, I could be totally wrong too, right? I'm just,
No. I definitely, and I think that's kind of one of the things you get, right? It's kind of the pros and the cons, that like, and I think I was kind of thinking about like where the whole DEI and all that stuff, like, it went too far. But I think like, we've always talked about pendulum, right? And the pendulum's like swifting. And I think, it definitely went like too far where it's like, diversity is a good thing, right? Like diversity of,
everything.
just like walks of life, different people that you see, like, and just, food, right? Like
It's
that's
science. It's like you got to try out all the different
yeah,
things. See
yeah, and
what's
that
going
like
to
it
work.
makes you, yeah, like and makes you appreciate, like maybe you didn't like it, but it makes you appreciate, the stuff you do like, or
Yeah.
expose you to other stuff. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think we're overshooting that, and I think eventually it just oscillates, right? Like it went really far that way, so it's always gonna like go really far the other way. Um,
Yeah. To
sort of
me,
related, yeah.
to be or quick point on that though, maybe
No,
not,
yeah,
but
no, I
like
was gonna say random bullshit.
problem really with it all is like we're trying to take, I think it has a good intention because you're trying to help people that maybe didn't have the same opportunities when they were younger. So you're trying to
Hmm.
like even it out in society, in
Hmm.
workplace, in government or wherever. But and that's fine. But you really need to like DEI is kind of a band-aid to me where it's like we
Hmm.
really need to like, and like we've talked about this before, but like you need to help the kids so that they can like once they get to that point, they are just like battling on the same scale, or they are up on the same scale. But if you're not,
Yeah.
if you're just try to like band-aid it at the end, and that's a longer process, 20 years, but I think that's where we really need to focus on more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and like, I don't know, some part of me feels like, I guess if AI does what it's supposed to do, right? Like I saw a couple things where like there was like a school was doing AI's like, personalized tutor courses for children, right? And like what they're like learning that they gained in the span of like a couple months was equivalent to like a year of normal school. And like, but the thing is with all that is like you can have as many tools as you want, but like the real issue is not the tools or the capability or like the people involved. It's like you can lead a fish to water, but lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? And our issue is that the people that are doing poorly is usually because they're what they're grew up in and their social
Almost.
structure is not leading them to that water, right? And it's
Exactly.
like and like forcing them to do that is not great,
No, the book. Did you ever read Evicted by Matthew Desmond?
no, I don't.
It's such a good book. It's based in Milwaukee, but it talks about
Hmm.
like just people and you kind of get a view, and it's stories, but it's
Yeah.
he wrote another book too, Poverty by America, which is more like just hard facts. But it's like when you grow up if you live in an apartment that's like overcrowded, say you
Hmm.
like have multiple families living in there, and then you have like the water not working, and
Hmm.
appliances, and you have people coming in and out all the time, and you're like this 8-year-old kid, and you're living in an area where, there's noise at night and it affects your sleep, and you have a single parent mom, and she goes to work and like isn't there to like help you, working multiple jobs. She's not there to help you like study or whatever. It's like, how do you expect a kid to show up at school and be like ready to go?
Friday and bushy tailed, ready to,
You're stressed as fuck. And that's where like we growing up were so, people would say like sheltered, but like you should shelter kids away from those things, like 100%. Like you don't want people to take on the stresses of the world when they're so young, because they just can't do it. And they're growing through this phase where they're learning, and you're trying to push them in a direction, and you can't like distract them with other things. So it's a great book. It's really interesting, easy read, but it's really just like fixing those. And there's some weird things like in society. So like if you get evicted, this is a wild one, which is kind of leads to problems. If you get evicted once, you are in that, your chance of getting housing aid is like 0. It's like you're almost becoming out.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's the person that probably needs housing aid.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, so then what happens is they get put in this situation where the landlord has like ultimate power over them, because they're like, well, I'm going to evict you. And then they're like, well, if I get evicted, I'm going to lose my housing aid. So I'll just let the water be shitty and not work. I'll just let the problem persist.
Yeah.
And the book follows like a local landlord too, who she grew up in Milwaukee, and like is kind of like her side of things too. So it's a full like, you get a trailer park guy down by the airport. Like it's a pretty good full look into the world. But it'd be interesting. It's interesting, kind of like some of the perspective and things. And he actually lived like with these families for a couple of years writing this book.
Well, and I think kind of like, the issue is too, like, if you don't have ownership of something, like you're just naturally just not going to care as much. Right. And like, I think like and UK is issues, and like this, like there's no perfect solution. And each thing is like, if you look at it through like one lens, it's like, okay, this is all bad. Right. And it's like, I think sometimes there's just like, it's like, it's kind of like school shootings where there's just no good alternatives, and it like happens. It's awful. And like, maybe that's just a cop out and like a way to just be like, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of like, cynical or, whatever, I guess, where it's just like, sometimes just, it's just a crappy situation, and it just will always be crappy, no matter what you do, and like, I don't know. It doesn't mean we don't try, right? But we throw a ton of money at the issue. And it's like, okay, like you do the UK thing where it's like, you give all these people houses, and then you kind of buy up all the house supply, and then like the property pricing for everyone just goes up, and then you can't grow as a nation. So you're just become stagnant, and everyone's just worse off for it, type of thing. I don't know. Yeah.
I think in general, like we should do a jobs program. I would love to see like a jobs program in the US that's like building houses, like instead of almost like taking guys young women who graduate high school, and they could do like 4 years where they're learning a trade, but
I wouldn't even say like building houses, like more just like go to like, and like kind of what you're saying, but like
we need
go to like Detroit, right? Like Detroit, where it has like the dollar houses that are like in bad neighborhoods.
Okay,
be like, okay, like pick a house, whatever house you want, and just like revitalize it, right? I don't know. But it's like eventually
a little more structure with like people teaching, but like you'd pay them, you'd teach them like financial, personal finance.
But I think some people like can't be taught. Like you could just do as much programs you want, and it's like, I guess because we see what kind of like with UBI and stuff. Like I don't know. Like I think just sometimes it's just.
But is UBI actually like helping?
No, but like, I mean, we have like, we have required school, we have all the, and like, you have to like jump through hoops for stuff. I don't know. I guess I'm more just, I think like there's at least like 20% of the population that just, is, it's just, they'll always just, like not be okay, whatever it is. But then it's like, I don't know, you do the Elon, like,
don't you have to like,
thing.
But if they're always gonna exist, it's like, so what are you gonna do with 20%? And that's
throw 'em in
interesting you said
jail.
that because I think Politico just had an article and it said
Mhm.
if you take the unemployment rate and you go up to like 25 grand a year,
Mhm.
part-time work, mostly part-time workers, I think it's like 23% of the population is under 25 grand a year. So they're
Yeah.
making like, kind of like a minimum wage
Yeah.
work for their year.
Yeah.
So you do have that reality and like, but I think you can still make it a little bit better. I don't know. I just feel like myself personally, it's like you can go through when you're like working towards something or you're busy. It's really important to like stay busy and working towards something, and you just
Yeah, and
are.
and like have like hope, right, that you can escape the situation. I think the big thing is just like, what's the point, right? Like if all I ever know and everyone around me is just like why save, right? Like if you can't get and like once if you had like a sports relegation system, right? Where it's like if you are somewhat of a good standing member, I don't know, you just either get money or you get a free house or whatever. I don't know. Like if you are able to go like 2 years without like committing any crimes, showing up on time or whatever, like you put the work in, like you just get, I don't know, $5,000 a month or 5,000, I don't know, like 50, 25, some either money, a house, just
Something.
some sort of like, like hard benefit of just like, okay, like I think like the tangible goals, right? Because it's like welfare as it is now, it's right. Like it's just, there's no end in sight. There's no like getting better. There's no like reward, right? Like, okay, I mean, if anything, it just incentivizes you to like work hard because there's like a welfare cliff, right? Where you just lose all your benefits. So it's like that's perverse. So I think it's like you kind of need to have like a concrete, like exciting reward for being a good citizen,
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. It
Yeah.
would just be interesting to see. I think my idea with the jobs, like a jobs program like that, though, would kind of be fun because like we do need to build a lot of houses just for people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are going to be like trades are always going to be around. You're going to be able to, even with AI, like you're going to need people that are engineers and work lands and can fix things. And
I don't know. I mean, you could have like a 3D printer built, like just build copycat houses. You could just do that probably in like 10, 15 years.
that'd be nice. That'd be nice. That'd be
I mean,
cool.
I think they already do it now. I mean, the real issue is zoning. It's not like, it's like you just can't build the homes that are cheap, right? Because like land and regulations and stuff.
Start building cities like out in the middle of nowhere. It'd be kind of
Yeah.
fun. Just see what happens. Like Wyoming, Montana,
Yeah.
Texas.
All right. So moving on, if you're okay with it.
Vegas, like literally was just built in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
Like Vegas
Yeah.
can do it. Why can't other cities do it?
Yeah. Or Burning Man, right? All right. So I was thinking, like, for politicians, right? Like, they're just generally not very attractive, like compared to, I don't know, like kind of famous business people, celebrities, sports people. Like, I would say politicians are like the least attractive group of famous people you ever come across, right?
Yeah,
And I think that's almost kind of like desirable in a way, because it's like, I don't know, maybe if they're so attractive, then you feel they're like less trustworthy or something, But I was thinking, like, is that different for like party? And is maybe that like a reason why women candidates like kind of face an uphill battle? Because it's like more socially acceptable for like a man, like, Chris Christie, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine a woman, Chris Christie, being elected and being in power for a while. Like, I can't even think of really any fat elected politicians, women.
Stacey Abrams was kind of big.
Yeah, but she was never elected.
I think she's gone now.
Yeah, she was never elected anything.
No, she was like a state rep.
Yeah, but like I think she won one election and then she like lost every other one.
She was the House rep for 10 years, minority leader from 11 to 2017. She went to Yale Law, Democratic Party.
Oh, really? I didn't know that about her.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like
it is interesting. Like
yeah.
Mitch, like it's weird too because like I look at Mitch McConnell, I'm just like how did he become?
Yeah, he's like that ESPN guy that died. like that one guy that was really funny and did the skit with like, "Mom, I'm doing sports," and then like would do the,
John,
you know,
John,
yeah, yeah,
John,
yeah, exactly,
Mom.
yeah. And I think that's almost like an act, like maybe like part of like Gavin Newsom is just like one his policies, right? But also like because I would say he's like, and maybe why Mitt Romney lost, because he just looks too
Yeah.
attractive for a politician, right? And like
Barack
Trump is
Obama,
weird
though, bro.
looking. Yeah, but he's like he kind of looks a little weird, right? Like his ears are kind of a little weird. Like like I would say he's like
Nerdy.
attractive, but he looks a little weird, right? Trump was weird. Bill
Trump with
Clinton's
the
kind of
hair.
weird. Biden's just really old, I don't know.
Dude,
And so I was thinking, and like
Biden,
maybe
what's weird is Biden like had so much plastic surgery done.
you think really what?
Yeah, like dude, that's why his face looks like it's
Uh,
like flat. Like even like
maybe
Lauren,
that's the drugs.
because like politicians before they run, they'll be like, all right, I gotta lose a bunch of weight and stuff. Or like
Uh-huh.
Ted Cruz, I feel like he grew out his beard. He looks Ted
Well, and
Cruz is
like
a weird
even JD
guy.
Vance, right? Like he must be on a Ozempic or something because he was kind of like chubby,
Yeah.
and now yeah. And I wonder if there's like a party split on that. Like, do Democrats prefer more attractive politicians than Republicans do? Because it seems like both sides of the aisle, it seems kind of like, John Fetterman, right? Like weird looking dude, Democrat. What other like guy, I guess, but like you
Jerry
have like,
Connolly, the new one. He's like the new oversight leader for the Dems. He's like 74 years old. Looks
yeah, they got
half alive.
but like just like focusing on like men, because I think like women, it's because I think they're all kind of attractive, but not like
There's
sexy.
some pretty ugly people out there. Like MTG is not good
No,
looking.
not like AOC is probably, and I think because she's like young and like leans into it, but like
AOC, Anna, what's that one? Like Anna Pauline Luna, whatever, down in Florida.
yeah,
She's good looking.
she's Republican, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's pretty. Some people think Lauren Boebert or Bobert's hot.
Yeah, like kind of in the trash
But
way.
it's like yeah.
But it's not like objectively hot. Like it's always like
you're hot.
It's like work hot or school hot. Like it's not. Yeah, and I think there's just something there that it's like you can't be too attractive to win like an election, because maybe like people get jealous of that, or I don't know, like for some reason we're okay with like celebrities, but like we don't vote, like it's the only thing we vote for.
Pritzker's a big dude.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Lori Lightfoot, one of the best politicians in Chicago.
Lori was hot.
Yeah, she's a dog. Yeah.
I gotta say, I was thinking about it the other day, like how Brandon Johnson has been the greatest thing for Lori.
Like Lori, and Lori's like living her best life. She's just like shopping around town. Yeah, and she seems happy. Yeah, like I just saw on the Chicago Reddit, there's just like always pictures of her like just doing normal stuff. Like one was like she was at Binny's, which is like a local alcohol store, and like she's just like there's just a lot of Lori spottings. But I agree with you, like what, like she just must be loving it. And like it's crazy too, because Lori really kind of sucked as a politician, but then kind of like, well, it was COVID. Like even me, right? Like there's a lot of like excuses I'm making, or like cope for her. I'm like, well, she got dealt a hard hand.
COVID was tough for sure.
Yeah, and she was like pretty good with the police, and stuff. I don't know, like she was all right, and like if I would imagine myself saying this like when she was politician during COVID and stuff, I'd be like, but it's like, I don't know. She was.
I was thinking it'd be kind of fun. Like, so I was watching this clip. I saw this random clip on Twitter the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Piers Morgan. He's always doing like interviews.
Yeah.
And a lot of his stuff goes viral, and it was him and he was talking with Tucker Carlson, who Tucker's interesting.
Tucker feels like he's like, I don't really watch his stuff, but it feels like he's kind of got off the deep end.
Yeah, I don't watch his stuff either, because I think he has also gone off the deep end. But he just seems like, I don't know, he has this weird obsession with Russia recently. But anyway, Pierce was saying how he felt bad because in 2020 or 2021 he was like super hardcore on like, if you don't get the vaccine you should get fired and you should get stopped, and he was just super hardcore. And he's like, looking back, the vaccine, now we know like it doesn't stop you from getting it doesn't stop you from spreading it, so it was unfair to people fire them or to limit them if they like had COVID, and then
Mhm.
and it's just kind of like a reckoning with his past. And I thought Tucker was going to be like, well, yeah, you're a dumbass, but he was like, well, he's like you're like 50 something years old. If you don't have things where you look back and are ashamed on, like, well, then you're just not being honest with yourself. Like
Yeah.
everyone is going to look back,
Yeah.
and like we're probably living, maybe we're saying things in this thing right now where it's
Yeah.
like you're going to look back and be like, wow, I kind of thought about this wrong. But I
Mhm.
also kind of made me think like I kind of want to start like writing my current views on things down just to see how they change like through time. And it would just be interesting,
Yeah,
like
maybe make an anonymous blog about it. You know, you could do
Yeah.
that.
see
Yeah.
if people like it. But then just
Yeah.
and mostly just for my own. Yeah, you could get an anonymous blog. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. I got a catchy title for you. Maybe tell you later on in the show.
Maybe I'll start my own
Yeah.
anonymous
Oh, you
blog.
can write on Substack. I mean, we have our Substack. It's the right platform. You could totally
Oh, yeah.
write some blogs on our Moving on
Hey,
Spurs.
Substack, yeah, actually, that'd be kind of fun. It'd be kind
Yeah.
of fun to do it just to put out ideas, and then you can have your own side of things, and then
Sure.
I would just love to get people's opinions on other people's opinions on it. I've been trying to like do more randomly. I'll like post stuff on Twitter, or I'll read like stuff through Twitter, but I've just realized there's so much dumbasses on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like,
Just social media.
try-
in general.
It's just like, yeah, you try, like you think like someone maybe is like being honest or like somewhat educated, and then you're like, oh, never mind. Like,
No, no,
waste
no.
time reading this. Like, this is like
No.
the saddest shit ever. But
No. One of the biggest things is like, I think it realizes like when you actually know something about like a topic, when you know like you actually
Like,
maybe
you
not an expert, right? But like, yeah, you either work with it or you spent time on it, and then you like come across someone that like talks about it, and like 99% of the time they're just completely wrong. And it's like weird because like Reddit, you know, I've been on it for more than a decade at this point, and there's some stuff that they're so good at that you can't find anywhere else in the internet of
Mhm.
like just recommendations for stuff. But the other times it's like it's the completely wrong, and it's like you have to just somehow parse out which is which. And I don't really have a hard rule for it. I think a lot of it is like if it's like if a lot of people know about it, you know, like if it's not super niche, like the more niche it is, the better I think the knowledge will be and the advice. The more generalized it is, the worse it will be. But yeah,
yeah. Honestly, I've never really gotten into Reddit because the posting, I have a hard time following the posting because it like moves out and then it kind of like moves back in.
yeah,
I don't know, the flow of it is just kind of like weird to me, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But Twitter's not really any better. And Facebook, I don't know what Facebook's like, but I'm sure it's
Oh yeah,
insane. But Facebook's a funny one because it's like a blast of your past. Like it feels like it's just high school.
yeah, and like some people are actually like pretty active on it.
Yeah, it's like a couple people.
Yeah,
And it's like MLM. Like you get some MLM person
yeah,
just crushing it on there. And then it's like, all right, cool.
yeah.
I don't understand really how Facebook is still like this super powerful company.
Well, because they own Instagram,
Oh yeah, okay. So it's just
and
all
I think their ads are some of like the best targeted for people.
yeah. Do you ever try like Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, briefly. Like when I was looking at like so I got like a sim racing thing that I use, I don't know, 5 times. And I probably should
Oh
sell
yeah.
it. Probably safe. But like I try to get in there. I don't know. I've always just been an eBay guy, and I think I just stay loyal to that, you know. But like Spencer uses it, you know, like we got like Chris and like I would say not quite a bit, but like definitely more than 5 times. And it's all worked out pretty well.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you find some good deals. I was thinking about buying like a used Xbox because I was like, I just want to get an Xbox, and I was like,
Well,
I found
the
one for,
Series
like,
S is
$70.
like super cheap. You can get that for like $100.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go get that. I just want to play like the new NCAA game and then like Skyrim. When I think the new Skyrim comes out maybe next year still, but
What I've been
Love that
playing
game.
the new. Have you ever played Civilization? No.
Civilization 6, I've heard of it.
So the seventh one just dropped like 2 days ago. Yeah, so I've been
I've
playing.
heard of it. What's it? Yeah, tell me about it.
So it's kind of like, so what it is, you start right, like there's all these like different leaders throughout history, right? And they all
Is this
kind of like
computer?
have what?
Computer, right?
Yeah, computer. Well, it's actually no, it's on Xbox and it's on console now. I've never played it. It's on console. Even like the other ones on iPad, which is kind of crazy.
Okay.
But yeah, so you start off like, as like a hunter gatherer, like you're these people, and then you like build civilization, build an army, and there's like different ways you can win, like through economic, religion, cultural, and then there's like you play against like AI. You can actually play against multiplayer, and I play with like my brother and sister. We've done that before. It's a game that like takes forever. I mean, you can make it shorter, but like, kind of the fun of it is just it's like addicting. Like one more turn, because you build your cities, you build all these like improvements on it, and like move your little troops around and like establish stuff and like research technology. So it's kind of like you progressing throughout history and like trying to like conquer the world. So it's kind of like Risk, like an interactive Risk. I mean, you can get like the Civilization, the previous one on iPad, I think for free or like $5, and that could give you a good taste of it. But
So it's turn-based though?
yeah.
Interesting. So it's kind of like a game, but it's also
It's like a real life, kind of like a board game, but it doesn't feel
kind of like Age of Empires.
Yeah. It's kind of like Age of Empires, but like
with Risk.
yeah, like kind of more strategy, right? But it's kind of like Age of Empires. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty good analog. It's not like it, but it is like it. It's like a really in-depth Age of Empires, but there's more ways to win than just killing other people. But
Okay.
like oftentimes that's kind of how I win, is by killing other people. But it's kind of fun to have the other ways to win too, even though I've like barely never done that, which is kind of interesting because it's like I
Little
kind of
cult.
always kill people, but like it's just I spend a lot of time trying to do the other stuff too, but I always end up just trying to dominate the whole country.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking would be fun if there was like a modern, like, you know how people talk about like war games, like playing out how scenarios would work out?
Yeah.
If there was like a modern, like realistic war games, I think that'd be kind of cool. Like say
There is.
like right now, yeah. I guess I'm just thinking like right now, say China's building a bunch of like ships, right? They're building a bunch of big ships. That's their big thing right now. Say they just all of a sudden like surrounded Taiwan with these things. There's really nothing we could do about that. I don't know. Do we just like go over and just go fucking crazy and just?
Well, you like cut off their energy. Like you probably don't do anything direct, but you just make it hard for them. Like kind of what we do with Russia, right? And then Russia kind of proves that they can just survive without it.
Well, yeah,
Which
when
is
everyone
kind of
keeps
well, because like China keeps buying their stuff, and then they like well,
Europe.
like Europe will buy it too. Yeah.
Europe is, but that's the thing that blows my mind is Europe, and like I sit here, but like is Europe is buying all the LNG still
because they need the energy. It's
and it's expensive, but it's like you have this bizarre tug and pull of like war and funding,
well,
but like
it's like virtue signaling on like the global political stage.
Yeah, I remember I saw in November. I took a screenshot of it because it just blew my mind. The EU president Ursula von der Leyen, she was like, Trump got elected, and she was like, maybe we should like look into buying more LNG from America. It's cheap. It could be cheaper for us too. And I was like, you're buying it from Russia and it's more expensive? Like, lady, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens with it all. It's just there's just a little bit of like the reality of some of these situations that it's a tough like reality of that. And I think a lot of times too, like, and I don't know if it's movies or what, but like people just live in this like la la land that like, I don't know, like good guys versus bad guys, and good guys are gonna win and bad guys, and it's
there's really no good people or really bad people.
Yeah, and it would be nice. I think it would be better for the world if we could all just. Obviously, it sucks when Russia like invades another country, but it's like if we could all just get along. But
Yeah, I mean, like we kind of get along a lot better
Yeah.
than we have, right? You know, like World War
That's
II
true.
not long ago. Even Vietnam War wasn't that long ago.
Once this ends,
Afghan War wasn't that long ago.
yeah, that's true. Once this ends and once whatever
We'll
figures
find
out,
another one.
it's hopefully because Trump was like threatening to move all the Palestinians out of Palestine and like build
Mhm.
it for like the US. And then Egypt now is like leading this kind of like coalition with other countries to build a plan, which actually sounds nice. They're gonna like kind of take it on a little bit, hopefully,
Mhm.
and like help build up Palestine, but keep Palestinians there.
Yeah,
Be nice for someone to step up.
yeah,
It's like, all right, that gets done. We end this war over here. Maybe everyone just chills out for a couple of years, you know?
and then you know, we haven't really heard from North Korea in a while.
Yeah, what the hell's
Like,
well, they
yeah,
did join the war. I saw it. When the
yeah,
while
because they're like, yeah, they're the troops, right? But like, I don't know,
yeah,
Kim Jong Un hasn't done like missile, like he feels like he hasn't been crazy in a while. Like maybe he's just like,
Kim Jong Un up to
I
these
don't
guys.
know, he's like lying low.
I saw that like I saw this video because it's just weird videos of like real war shit nowadays, and like
Yeah,
Kim
like
Jong Un.
it's crazy how much stuff is out there. Like real time, real. Yeah, it's like I don't think we were ever meant for that to like be a
No.
reality. No.
And it's weird too because like you also have kind of like narratives being pushed with it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like you don't really know too. Like people send out videos and it could be like
I've never seen like Russian people attack Ukraine. It's always the other way around.
you've never seen Russia attack Ukraine?
No, but like a successful Russian attack where they like outsmarted it and like they were like presented as like oh we did good, we did well.
It's more like oh Russia just blew up this apartment building and then they'll show
Yeah,
like,
or like Russia is so dumb and like look at the stupid stuff they did, you know, and like Ukrainians are so smart and they did all this great stuff to, you know, be a survivor type person.
yeah. But there was this video of like North Koreans, and you know, obviously, I don't think they're the most well trained people in the world.
Mhm.
And it was like Ukrainians were just shooting at them. And it's just like they're just like running across the field, like this
Yeah.
open field, like meat shields, I guess, but like not even shielding anything. They're just like running out there, and the Ukrainians were just like
Mowing
destroying.
them down.
And
Yeah.
you're just
And
like
they're probably like, well, at least I don't have to live in North Korea anymore.
you're just like watching this shit like
Yeah.
what the fuck is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just nuts. It said they just sent another group of soldiers despite heavy combat losses already suffered by them. So North Korea probably doesn't have much of a choice. I mean, they kind of need
Well,
Russia.
and they I don't know, maybe it's good for them that they have less people to feed. Like you just kind of get,
Yeah, that's
or
true.
like these people were causing like a stir, and it's like great way to kill two birds with one stone on their end. Get a little something from Russia, and get rid of undesirables.
It always seems like famine becomes like the number one issue for dictatorships
Yeah,
because they use the people to grow food because they don't really have like tons of
arable
industry,
land.
right?
Yeah.
So they
Well,
grow
it's like their
food,
land, I think, kind of sucks.
and then yeah, that too. But then they grow food, but then they don't have like tons of resources to sell. So their trading block is like, well, we have food. That was kind of like Mao's whole thing, right? Like, okay, so he's like exporting food while millions of people are dying.
Well, Mao was actually even more dumb because he was like, "We're gonna kill like the sparrow or whatever," and he ended up killing like millions of them, and then they were like crop fertilizers, so it led to like crops all dying. And he did like 3 instances of stuff like that where it's like we're just gonna do something drastic, and then it ended up just like resulting in millions of people dying.
And he's like kind of weirdly had a comeback like
Yeah,
nowadays.
like he's like a really stupid person.
Because like even in China, he got like bumped to the side after, you know, they
Yeah.
like put him down and then he wasn't really in charge and they were kind of like they kind of were like embarrassed by him. And then remember his it was like the teenagers he had on his side because they were educated as like being like the Mao, like they were
Yeah,
kind
by
of
them. Yeah.
he was like the god kind of. And then when he like was trying to get power back, it was like, "You're my people, the teenagers," and then the teenagers were like, "Yeah, Mao."
like Bernie Sanders' wet dream. Like, why couldn't I have the teenage lead me to power so I could kill millions of people? Like, he was so close to it. Unfortunately,
What was Bernie's whole thing with Russia that he liked it? What did he like about Russia?
it's just
Remember,
it was
like,
like communist. He just liked that it was communist.
Yeah.
I think he's just like, and I think they probably paid some of his bills. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they still communists at all in Russia, or is it just like it's kind of more like
I don't know. I
oligarchy?
don't even know what you describe it. It's just like oligarchical.
Yeah, like tech, not even tech, like
Yeah.
industrial.
And I think even like there's not really a true like communist in itself. Like I think the people are kind of right that it's like really never been tried because it's just like it always just devolves into like corruption, right? It's just like corruption where like rich, like the top power just suck up all the resources and clamp down on any dissension and get people to infight so they can, just absorb all the wealth, So it's kind of like is current modern day Russia any really different than communist Russia? No. Just like people get a little too attached to names versus like, what the actual mechanisms macro view is of the society.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Like China's pretty capitalist, just with heavy state involvement, and you could say America's pretty capitalist with heavy state involvement. Sure, it's different flavors and free
different
speech
ways.
and like owning businesses and stuff, but like in a macro view, it shares more
They're
similarities.
capitalists. They're just like very tight control on certain things. Like
Yeah, and like bankruptcy laws there are super weird, and
really,
Yeah.
what are the bankruptcy laws in China?
well, it's like they just don't. The only bankruptcies that happen are like the ones that the state like approves of.
So you just get screwed then, or
Yeah, it's like basically they just like pick winners and losers, right? And like a lot of it, like construction industry, right, is like just build a ton of stuff just so like you're generating economic activity. It's not really useful economic activity, but it's economic activity. And also too, in China, it's considered like bad luck or it's just like gross to live in a place that's been lived in before. And so you'll see this a lot. I know this is like in Canada, a big
That's
thing. And also like wealth, right? Because like wealth can just be snatched up easily. So like what they'll do is they'll just buy new developments in Canada, won't live in there, like it'll just be there for a while. And like that's their like retirement fund. It's like a not lived in building. And then they'll just like live in it to retire in, and like that's their kind of fund and living situation all in one.
would you go to China, or do you have any interest in like visiting?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, like, there's just so many other places that seem a lot cooler, And I think I've probably gotten, like, I missed the window of, like, being interested in, like, super exotic places. I think I'd rather just, like, do Europe over Africa or China or, like, or Russia, Like, Japan is cool. Like, basically stuff where it's, like, different, but, like, I know that even if the culture is not the same, at least kind of like the values are, if that makes sense.
Singapore would be kinda cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't have any desire to go to Egypt.
Or it's like
really.
comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable, Like I don't want to worry about safety or like danger.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
Tokyo would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Australia I've always wanted to go to.
Singaporeans, like the top Singapore city. Or Singapore
It's just Singapore. I think it's just like a city state. If I'm
okay,
mistaken.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
What about the UAE, like Dubai?
I don't know, kinda like in a sense where it's like just kind of like
but-
Vegas, right? It just seems like Vegas just with
Yeah.
like taking like the complete opposite of sin, but you're still like the Vegas attraction where everything's kind of like artificial,
I would just be nervous there, like if I fuck
like drinking.
something
But
up.
I think it's you're a guy. Like if I was a woman, I don't think I'd absolutely would go there. But like as a guy, like I don't know, it seems like you can kind of do all that stuff.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm kind of surprised that people go to Israel because it's like kind of a danger. Isn't it kind of danger? I don't understand the whole thing. Like they have the Iron Dome. They have rockets being launched at them all the time. And then you just
Iron Dome seems pretty like legit. It's pretty legit. And like, they'll pay for like your trip, right? Like you get a birthright. It's like government funded, completely paid for.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice.
And also, like, I don't know, like that's like their home, right? You know?
Yeah, I went to a. Did I tell you I went to Judaism History Museum in Paris,
Hmm.
and it was kind of interesting. It was like, well, I didn't realize how off like Jews have pretty much just been like kicked out of everywhere
Everything.
or
Everywhere.
everywhere every
Yeah.
time. That's why Israel is like their one safe
Yeah.
haven,
Yeah.
pretty much. And
Like their entire history was trying to like have a place
yeah.
of their own.
And it's interesting because it kind of had like as Judaism like moved around the world, they kind of built their synagogues in the local, I don't know, culture. So it was like there were
Mhm.
different pieces and different like art with it, and I don't
Mhm.
know, it's kind of a cool museum. But I just never realized like we get so talked about is like the Holocaust and Germany and how
Mhm.
horrible that was, but it's like that's pretty much been happening. Maybe not
Like,
to that
no,
like
but kinda. I mean, because like history was pretty bad, right? You know, like
like you're
yeah.
kind of like getting kicked out or like exiled from places. Like it seemed
Mhm.
like just constantly, like every 100
Yeah.
years, they're just like moving
Yeah.
around. Moving around.
And it's because they're like successful, right? And I think right they did the money stuff where like you were forbidden to be a money lender or like charge like interest, right? Like that was even in like Christianity where you couldn't do that. And so they were like, okay, like they're just like market fillers, right? Like lawyers and stuff where it's like society needs them, but you know, people don't like the job that they do, you know? And so I don't know. It's like
That was interesting and
if
like
I were them,
melted
I would just be
together.
pissed off. Like, I'm sorry, I'm doing what you want me to do, and I'm doing it like for cost, like you know, for premium because no one else is going to do it, and then you get mad at me because of it. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, right? Like, that would just be so aggravating if I was them.
Yeah. That's why like one of our neighbors, he's Jewish, and he was talking about it one night. He's like, at the end of the day, well, I think one of his grandparents was actually survived one of the camps.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was like, at the end of the day, like if anything did happen, I think it's a little more, so like hits a little more home to him. And
Yeah.
he was like, if at the end of the day, if like something like that ever happened again, Israel is a place I would go to for his
Yeah.
safety. So
And like,
I never
and
thought
like,
about it.
and then no wonder why they so fiercely protect it, right? And you have someone that's like killing you, like actively trying to kill you, like right next to door to you, and you like work with them, and like their people are working in your industries, and you're trying to give them jobs and stuff. I mean, they're not like perfect, right? Like they've expanded, taking over land and stuff, and
Yeah.
I don't know, like you do that anywhere else, right? That's just called gentrification, and we just be like, ah, this is, but like there, it's like, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just gave me an interesting perspective. It was a cool museum.
Yeah.
So.
Mm.
Interesting world.
Yeah.
Have you been watching any historical YouTube videos recently, or learning anything new, or
Let's see.
mostly just jokes?
No, I've kind of been off of that. What have I been watching? I watched.
Oh, happy Severance Day, by the way.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. There was something interesting that I was watching. Oh, it's escaping me.
My history.
Time do you have to go?
I'll go pretty soon, but I was watching this Dwarkesh Patel. He has like these interviews with professors going through kind of like the history and stuff. That was kind of interesting.
Oh, I watched one where this guy like just took a trip through India, and that was, I don't know. I think the internet, like just widespread access to India, has been like they've taken the biggest L because of that, like for just their culture and everything. Actually, one thing I've been watching, it's called Lock Picking Lawyer.
Okay.
So it's a lawyer. He just picks locks, and he is very good at it. Each episode is like 2 to 5 minutes long, and every lock basically sucks. Like every single one. Yeah. And so it's kind of interesting because like one time I was locked out of my house, and this guy came in and he couldn't do it, right? And he spent like an hour. And I was like, okay, I've seen this lock picking lawyer. Like, do you just suck? Like, and he's like, this is like, and it actually made me appreciate it because I think one of the locks that I have was like on the show, and he did it like in, I don't know, 5 minutes, right? And it's like this guy is just like, you need to understand, like he's just so good, like he was pretty honest, like I'm not the best, but I'm pretty good at my job, And this guy, because he just like does it all day, so it's pretty good because he's like, I guess, thousands of videos. Another interesting one is called Laser Pig creator. He just does like military stuff, and he does it like pretty funny. He's a pretty funny guy about like just, I don't know, like why things are good and why things are bad and stuff. I think I shared with you, this was kind of crazy, Mart Snack. So this guy it's called Beating Every Possible Game of Pokemon Platinum at the Same Time. And so basically what it is, it's like from the start to the finish, if you press all these inputs, you'll beat the game of Pokemon no matter what. And so that's like and he does this thing called like Nuzlocke rules, where it's like if your Pokemon faints, you can't use them ever again. So it's like he does all this stuff because it's like the random chance of catching a Pokemon, the random chance of all the different attacks, right? And so it's all of it where it's like predicts. I don't know, it's just crazy because it's like it basically came out to, it's like 6 billion like possible simulations like this one, and he does like this thing where it's like there's different universes, realities for it, but like, so it's like one where it's like if I do all this in this reality, it still works because you're just like spinning around in a circle. While on this other one, it like branches off, and if you have like this bad result, you'll still be able to beat it, and then like the timelines sync up.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's just all like odds and stuff is pretty much like it just kind of
it's like basically just the odds, and like just going through every single, like if you want to call it like alternate universe, and making sure that all these inputs would still work in these 6 billion different alternate timelines. Blew my mind.
That's like cracking the hell out of the game.
Yeah, it's like cracking the hell out of like math. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
you could even possibly do that on a computer.
Like some quantum theorem shit right there.
Yeah, and there's actually another guy. He did like AI,
did you
video
watch
games,
like speedruns? Just speedruns of
yeah, I like that. I did that a lot, and then I kind of got over it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's like that. So like Summoning Salt, he does like the history of it. I don't know if you've ever come across him.
No, but I just saw one person. I've only watched like one or two, and I was like, it was like I was like, how does he do it? Because it's just such a different way of playing the game. But it's like he had a Nidoking the whole time.
Yeah.
And just like that just was his beast pretty much, and he just like would do everything with it. And I was like, okay.
It's kind of fun. Like just look at like some of your favorite games, that you played growing up or whatever. Like like Skyrim speedrun. Yeah, it's like pretty interesting. Super Mario.
I was thinking about this the other day. Like Skyrim is such a big game. Do you think there's Easter eggs in Skyrim, or like things you could do in Skyrim that unlock other things later in the game that like people just have never discovered?
Haven't found yet. I'd say no, because it's been one of the most like modded. Like it seems like they go through like the data of it.
They probably leak it out eventually, or like
yeah. And I think just like with the kind of like messing around with the compute, like the data of the game, like it seems like they can kind of figure out what's going on nowadays.
Interesting. It's almost like they're analyzing like the coding.
Yeah, it's like basically to me it's like the Matrix, where they're seeing it like on the screen. It's like, oh, I see all these outcomes. And like, but that's kind of like real life. Like a lot of it is kind of like true what these people can do. Like truly weaponize autism.
It's crazy stuff. I kind of want to read that book about quantum theorem just to try to wrap my head around it a little bit.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like how I think of it, or at least when I was talking to my brother, it's like, so quantum is just like one thing existing in this same position. So I think of it as like a light switch, right? Like on or off, right? It's like 0 or 1 on the computer switch. And like quantum does is like one of the zeros could be a 0, 1. So it's like multiplicative of like like you just scale up, right? It's everything a second. I think of like a light switch. If you keep it like right in the center where it's, it's like Schrodinger's cat, right? Is alive or dead, but it's like, is it on or off? And it's like, you're just right there. And somehow it's able to, I don't really get how it works, but in my mind, it's like, you're able to do both a 0-1 at the same time. And then you just do that all over and over and over. And, just makes it amazing.
All the different possibilities. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it scales so well. It's like you're doubling, and like the whole thing about computing is just like scaling.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how quickly some of that stuff comes.
Yeah.
The other thing that would be interesting is like, do you think we push hard into nuclear energy with the demand for like how are we building all this AI stuff?
Yeah. I mean, we should, right? And I think they kind of are.
We have to.
I don't know. It's kind of weird
they're
because
going
it's
to invest like $500 billion and
yeah. Well,
Where's
I think
energy?
like the 7 Mile in like New York, New Jersey is like, I think Amazon's buying it just for AI.
is that a nuclear site?
Yeah, it was like one that was like decommissioned, and they were like just buying it and like, yeah. You know what? But I kind of get like Bitcoin vibes with it. Like it's definitely more useful. But the same thing with Bitcoin, where it's like it took all this energy to be like, oh, this is going to change the future, and like all this stuff. But it just seems like just a way to waste energy. Like AI, I've actually used in my real life. I find it really helpful and stuff. But it just, I don't know, like.
There's
No one ever
also
just
a lot of
talks about like we're using all this energy for this, is it worth it?
Yeah. Well, I someone told me that every question you ask to like ChatGPT, it's like turning on the light bulb for pretty much forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, so when I do stuff now, I'm like, I just think a little bit more. I'm like, do I want to really ask this, or do I? Really
And I go
want
the other way where I just like think it's funny, where I just like ask stupid stuff.
to fucking send it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do that and like chat. You'd almost like chat with it. There was a story about this person, this lady recently. She like, she like created like a boyfriend. Like she kind of like programmed.
Yeah.
And then she like fell in love, and I think she kind of like got engaged and would like flirt with him and stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
kind of like the movie Her. And I was like,
Yeah. I'm thinking I think that's like happening right now.
yeah, it's pretty wild. And then like with robots, and I don't know, people are just like craving like some emotional connection.
Yeah.
But
It's like we're, instead of like trying to connect with each other, we're just going so hardcore into the digital realm.
yeah, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it, to be honest, because you're also kind of like, it's almost like you're really like connecting with you're like this perfect person that you've created, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's to me it's just boring. You want someone that like pushes you in different ways, I think, or like challenges you. I think I like that, like about my friends and like relationships and like everything. Don't you want to be like challenged and grow and like?
No, I think a lot of people don't.
Yeah, it's kind of fun though. I don't know. I find it kind of fun, like problem solving.
Yeah. Like obviously, but like a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people like just want to be like, people hate growth and pain and self-reflection and character development. It's like, I mean, I always just think like there's a reason why the Marvel series and like The Voice are like some of the most popular TV shows on television. Like just yeah, it's just like no brain power, right? Like it's just that's what the majority of America wants.
And America is a pretty somewhat educated country. Pretty educated.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Or sorry.
No. I actually, there was something about actually the point. Like, maybe a good question. Like, would you want to date like a female clone of yourself?
Definitely not.
No. Would you even be curious about it?
Like, I say that again.
Like, would you even be curious about it? Or do you think it could work at all, or do you think it'd just be like a dumpster fire completely?
I just wouldn't want to. I don't know. I just feel like in my relationship, it's so much like new and difference has opened my eyes to things.
Yeah, and like the yin yang, right? Like I think that always just is. I think that's a key to a successful relationship is the yin yang.
Yeah, and being open to it, and like, but and like I think you too. Like it's fun, like
Yeah.
learning about different
100%.
ways of doing things, and like. But if you're just dating yourself, I almost feel like you just would lead down this path.
You would
like
just cycle
further and further and further, like your
Yeah.
own echo chamber, and it would just be like your worst. It'd almost be like the worst impulses would
Yeah,
eventually.
just be like, oh, like don't don't go to work. Like let's just stay
Yeah.
up all night, like doing this. Like oh, go do more options play. Like yeah, we should do that. We should do that. Yeah,
Feel like the devil on the devil.
Yeah,
and angel, but
yeah.
you'd have like no angel.
No, it'd just be two doubles. Yeah,
Like yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds great. You're like, oh, it'd be
Yeah.
like doubling, like, or like it'd be like doubling the that like power that like of where you're like weak and you're like fighting
yeah.
things.
Like your worst impulses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be fun for that was like 22 for a week.
Yeah, true. Maybe 10
I mean,
years
it's like basically dating like a crazy girl, right? Like, yeah, that's what it would be.
it would be interesting dating. I mean, guys and girls are just so different. So
Yeah.
I feel like guys dating girls, it's like, and obviously this is my perspective, so I can only have this perspective, but it's like, it's easier to date women because they're like just nicer and they're like a little more like calmer and like tame, like responsible. Like for women who are all that, and then to date like men,
I don't know why they do it.
it's like kind of nuts, right? It's like
Yeah,
you're like
yeah.
jumping in the fire. It's like,
Yeah,
why-
and like we are like very dangerous, right? Like we're a very dangerous person. Like we are gonna like studies have consistently shown that you're gonna do more work, right? It's completely inequitable. Like it's gotten better, but like throughout human history, like
Yeah.
like women
I
have
read
the best deal they've ever had, but it's still not a good deal, right? Like it's still good, right? And I think it's because like women are drawn to that, like it's not violence, but it's like the chaos, like visceral chaos. That's why they love the true crime shit, because they're like addicted to it, and that sucks for them.
It's always interesting because sometimes like you see guys, especially when you're younger, and you'll be like, it'll be some of like the more wilder people are more attractive to women.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you're like, why are people like it's like
Because
it's, like, I
it's
love this
exciting,
guy,
right?
but I don't
They
know
would
why.
never like make those choices themselves, so it gives you like an excuse to like live a life of adventure and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird biology thing.
It is, and like that's kind of why it works. I mean, even like in like gay and lesbian couples, right? Like you always see one's, more masculine, chaotic energy versus like the softer one, and even
sure.
like they could even like look the same, right? Have the same like dress or whatever, but personalities, it's always that, and like that's why I think you can kind of see tell if a couple's gonna make it, because it's like that's just the easiest litmus test, right? Like you're both chaos or you're both safe, like the chaos burns quicker and it like will end quicker, but the safe also will burn out, just I think just takes a little longer. And I think you can kind of quickly tell that's like you need to have the yin and yang.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if like I'm too chaotic, but
no, but it's like you meet in the middle, right? So it's like if you're far on this side, you need to find someone far on this side. And it's like if you're close to the middle, then but it's like you always need a it's like magnets, I guess, right? Where it's like if you're a strong magnet, you need to find an equally strong magnet. Right? Like Spencer is a very stubborn, like she doesn't put up with a lot, right? So it's like it brings me closer, right? Like you and Lauren, kind of more just like here, right? So it's like it doesn't take, you're not that far stretched apart.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, at least that's my philosophy.
That makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
The exciting ones are like the TV, like the reality shows. Those are like the apps, like just the chaotic.
Yeah, they're both like the double thing, and it's like they
over
just
here.
shoot. Yeah, and they just shoot out.
Have you seen the recent one, the Montoya guy? that's been going
Yeah,
on?
so I don't really understand. Like I saw one clip and then
Yeah.
I didn't. So it's like, so he watched his girlfriend just getting railed. Was my take of it, and he just got really upset about it.
Yeah. Well, so I think what happened was it said he got okay. I just typed it in. It said he got cheated on for the third time on this show. I'm hoping. I'm like when I'm watching.
I
This,
think it's all the same person, right?
yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
can this be fake? I really hope this is fake for this guy. 'Cause
I think some people it's like masochist. Like I think some people are just whether they either think they deserve it or either think they deserve it or still like want the pain. You know, and both those things can either be both true at the same time or separately true. But I think there's a certain type of person that's, you know, like the cuck thing, right? Like
yeah.
I think they
going on the show.
yeah. And for some reason you're just like drawn like you're because it's like it happens 3 times. Eventually I'm gonna like victim blame.
Yeah. So apparently the show is you have these couples who are agreeing to this, so who knows what the
Mhm.
relationship's like. But they get split up on like this island, and then they're like one of them is like around I think they go through like it gets like by the time so like half the time it'll be like them and half the time it'll be the other, but
Mhm.
they'll be around a bunch of like single like good looking people. So it's like
Yeah.
temptation, and then it like flips.
Yeah.
So, gotta love reality TV. But
I mean,
yeah.
that's shit, you know, like the Love and Blind. I was like really into that for a little while.
I watched Love Is Blind. It just came out
Yeah.
today. New season.
I like the new season. I
sounds
haven't
good.
watched, but it was like I watched like maybe the first 2 and 3. I don't know, I think it's a good show. I like dating.
I actually liked it. It was kind of interesting because well, it's just an interesting concept. But I feel like they've kind of like hacked it a little now.
Yeah.
Because
And
it's
like
like
any dating thing, it's like
yeah. Well, it's like because the whole thing was like you get to the wedding and then you don't know if they're gonna say I do or not. And now it's
exactly.
like people are like, okay, well, I don't want to be embarrassed on TV, so
Yeah. And you can always divorce, right? You know, like it's like I don't know.
and you can always meet up. They always say like, oh, you have to break up forever. It's like you could date after.
You could always just hang out, right? And I think like in the earlier ones, it was kind of interesting thing. So like on The Bachelor, I looked up like the statistics of like for Bachelor, Bachelorette, right? Like which ones stay married actually. And it's kind of funny, like if the male's a bachelor, it seems like he just picks the hottest one and they just divorce really quickly. But for the woman, it actually has a pretty good chance. Like, and it's just kind of funny, like, you know, in the market, because it's like the dating dynamics, right? Like if you like men just generally don't have 20 women fawning over him.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's just not a productive dating environment. But yeah.
Success.
Yeah. Like I like the old, like I was watching Spencer. I actually really like the old, like they did the Golden Bachelor. And that was actually pretty good because it's like these people aren't ridiculous, you know, they're like the guys were all like super friendly and nice with one another. And it was kind of cool. Like the guys like almost seemed to enjoy each other more than just like, yeah, like they were just growing down, like all these old dudes just kind of like, you know, like one guy was just fixing the house, like he's like, oh, you know, this is about it was just like really stereotypical old, you know, dad stuff, and it was just it was funny, like just
relatable.
Totally, yeah, it was,
pops.
Yeah,
nice.
All right, interesting episode.
All right, episode 11.
Very controversial episode. Kind of forgot the earlier part of this, but yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. Let's do Brewers spring.
Yeah, we'll get to that at some point.
Next.
We got but yeah.
All right, man. Have a great weekend.
All right, peace, bro.
Peace.